2 to What If Naruto Was Full Uzumaki. So yeah, we're just gonna pick up right where we left off. Obviously, with like the full Uzumaki, I'm giving him his Kekkei Genkai, which is the chains, and a few sealing jutsus, and he's gonna have a larger chakra reserve, and he's got the full 9 tails, blah blah blah, very standard stuff. But let's start. So anyway, they kept going with Tazuna right behind them. They just kept walking after defeating the Demon Brothers, and that is when they came across a white rabbit, and it just hopped across a bush. Naruto threw his chains at it and actually pinned it down. Rather than just stabbing it, he pinned it down, and he went over and seen that it was just a bunny, and he inspected it, seeing that it had white fur. Now, it was the middle of the summer, and bunnies with white fur don't come out until wintertime. So Naruto, obviously being like, yeah, that's a bad idea, someone's coming, he was just like, I'm going to pretend like I didn't see it, and he just released the bunny and kept on his way, told him it was just a rabbit, and he kept going, and that is when he sensed something, fairly standard stuff, and that is when he said, get down, and the giant, executioner's blade came flying at them, stuck in a tree, and Zabuza landed on it. Obviously, Naruto being like, I've got an idea for this, so he just whispered something in Kakashi's ear, and Kakashi took off running at Zabuza. Zabuza and Kakashi got into their little kerfuffle, just in canon, it's literally the exact same, and then Kakashi got caught in the water jutsu. Obviously, Naruto having his plan, he expected Zabuza to beat Kakashi, or at least wound Kakashi. So he took the Uzumaki chains and made them come out of his back, and they sunk through the ground, and they came up right underneath Zabuza while he's standing on the water, and he never noticed, and it grabbed his leg, and Naruto made a second one from his back and flung it around and grabbed Zabuza's entire torso, his entire chest, pretty much with that one, and he tugged him over onto the land using the chain. He slowly started reeling him in, and Zabuza tried busting out, since he didn't have his Buster Blade. His Buster Blade was in the ground, but he tried busting out, but he noticed that he couldn't use his chakra, so he kind of just was left there being dragged. Naruto sensed that another presence was there, and Naruto took out a kunai and went to stab it into Zabuza, and that's when 3 needles came down and stabbed Zabuza in the neck. Now, Zabuza, obviously being extremely, he was gonna be defeated, so Haku jumped in to save him. He was like, okay, can you unchain him now? I've got to operate on his body. Naruto was like, yeah, sure, but he, knew that Haku wasn't who he said he was, so he just kind of released him and kept a watchful eye on him. And that is when I'm going to say he used a special kind of sealing jutsu that he had picked up from a scroll when he was, right before he finished his, right before the Genin exam, he was studying scrolls and stuff in the libraries of Konoha, and that's where he found this. And it was a tracking jutsu. You just leave a marking on someone, and then it let you track their whereabouts if they were moving, and it basically let you see their vital signs, if they were alive or not. You put it on Zabuza, and you could immediately tell, since the information is beamed into his head, that Zabuza was still alive. He pretended not to know this information and just left, and that is when that's when they dragged Kakashi off over to Tazuna's house, because Tazuna was like, hey, yeah, you're gonna need a place to rest, Kakashi, you're out of business, so yeah, let's just protect you guys, and hopefully I can finish building this bridge. So, the whole thing, like in canon, starts, and Naruto already knew how to tree walk because of some test that he had to go through due to the clan heads knowing that him as a clan head was going to have to do this. Obviously, Naruto thinking, yeah, let's get this over with. He just walked up the tree like nobody's business, and he like actually stood right next to Kakashi when he was sitting upside down on the tree. And then he went over and he walked on some water, and he basically just gave Sasuke some one-on-one pointers, while Kakashi gave some to Sakura. Naruto, like, he just kind of went out and like walked on water for a while to try draining his chakra reserve because he wanted to increase his overall chakra amount so that he could use big techniques for not as much of a detriment to his stamina. So he started to just walk out on the water. He was like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna go well. So he just started using the shadow clone jutsu. And he basically just divided up as much chakra as he could, made like a good 2,000 clones, and then just told them to fight each other. They just went around fighting each other on the land while the real Naruto was standing out on the water. Him noticing that his chakra was probably completely depleted now, walked out onto the shore, and just went into the forest. This is when his whole, meeting with Haku, where he's like, wow, you're such a beautiful lady. Haku's like, nah, dude, I'm a guy, and all that. So, that's when, all that happened. And Naruto being like, okay, well, shit, he patted Haku on the shoulder and said that he had to go. And that is when he put a marking on him to basically to track him, just like he did to Zabuza. He went back to Tazuna's house, like Inari did that whole thing where it's like, you don't know true pain. Naruto actually unlike in canon where he kind of just stayed quiet, he didn't in canon, he snapped at Inari in canon, but I'm going to say he had a bigger reaction, and he snapped, completely, and he just kind of shoved Inari to the ground and stormed out. So, obviously, Inari being terrified of Naruto, his eyes just screamed, stay away from me, when he shoved Inari to the ground and stormed out. Inari was, on the ground crying. Sakura started shouting at him, why would you do that? You're just a monster. Naruto being even more pissed, his eyes turned red with the Kyuubi's chakra, because he was really pissed and really sad. Obviously, Naruto was, extremely, extremely upset, so he just went for a little walk around this town. And that is when he found a building with a big group of people inside. And in the center of the room, there was a big table with one guy sitting at it. And now this was obviously Gato, and he looked in there and seen that, hey, Gato is saying something. So he used a kind of modified version of his chains and put a seal on them. The seal that lets him track stuff also lets him hear what's around it. And that's when he put the chain just right underneath the table so that no one could see it, but he could still hear them. So he listened to what they were saying, and that's when when he found out that they were planning on killing Haku and Zabuza and not paying them. Obviously, Naruto listened in for a longer time and found where they were keeping all of their money. And that's what Naruto did. So he just kind of took the chain out of the ground and back into his body, and he went off and found where Gato kept all of his money. He took out a scroll and he sealed it using the 8 trigram sealing style, because that's something he had been practicing. And as an uzumaki, sealing actually comes very naturally to him. So he did that, and he took all of Gato's money, which is a lot of money, and he used his tracker to find Zabuza and Haku. Now, He found them in an abandoned warehouse, and he just kind of kicked the door open because the door was already falling apart. He just kind of kicked it open and walked in. Zabuza threw his massive blade at the kid, and Naruto used his uzumaki chains to set up a barrier where it just where the blade just bounced off. Obviously, Naruto was like, okay, don't want to fight you, I'm just here to talk. Zabuza and Haku were like, we don't want to talk. Haku started throwing his Senbon needles. They just kept bouncing off the barrier. Zabuza tried using like a water style attack, like a water bullet. It just bounced off. Naruto was getting really fed up with this, so he was like, okay, shut up. And he stuck 2 chains into the ground, and he wrapped them around Haku and Zabuza. Just kind of chaining them, just kind of like wrapping them around them so that it drained away their chakra and they couldn't like move. So he was like, okay, you 2 kids, stop arguing. I'm here to help you. Obviously, them not knowing what he meant was like, what do you mean, kid? You can't help us? Naruto's like, do you want to die from Gato because he's threatening to kill you? I literally just overheard his conversation, and he's not going to pay you your cash. Obviously, Zabuza, thinking that this was just some kid trying to get him to betray his employer, he was like, I don't believe you, and he was like, oh really? Then let me show you. So he took the sealing scroll, so he took the sealing mark that he put on his chain, since like the sealing mark doesn't disappear, and since they record what like the information, he played it out. Zabuza and Haku heard what Gato had said. Obviously, being really pissed, they told Naruto to bring them to where he found this like warehouse, like building place. Naruto, Haku, and Zabuza all went to the warehouse together. Naruto like gave them back their chakra because the chains can drain chakra away from people and give it to the host, but the host can also give the chakra back. So obviously Haku and Zabuza trusted the guy more, and that is when they were like, hey, you really sure you're gonna let us come to your village with you? Because Naruto offered them, and he was like, yeah, sure, I don't see why not, if you're good and don't misbehave. They went into the warehouse where Gato and all of his men were, and they literally, all 3 of them together, just stormed the entire place, killing everyone inside. Gato, his men, and this employer that was employing Gato, that was hiring Gato's men for something. All of them dead. Naruto brought Haku and Zabuza back to the back to Tazuna's house, and he had 2 people's heads sealed in a scroll, that being Gato and Gato's right-hand man, since they were both in the bingo book. Gato's right-hand man was an A-rank missing nin who was worth quite a lot of money, and Gato was a B-rank gang leader that also had a pretty hefty price on his head. So they did that. They went back to Tazuna's house, and that is when Kakashi freaked out, like Sakura and Sasuke both freaked out. Inari jumped backwards and he was on the ground crying. Friggin' Tazuna and his daughter were terrified. And that's when Naruto was like, hey, yo, chill out. We just got rid of Gato for you. And everyone being like, wait, what? Yeah, he just he told Inari and Tazuna's daughter to turn away because this was going to be nasty. And he unsealed the scroll showing Gato's head and Gato's right-hand man's head. He sealed them back. Kakashi being like, what the hell, kid? How did you do that? Zabuza obviously being like, oh, that was me, Haku, and the kid. Thank you for noticing. So, Kakashi being super surprised that Naruto got Zabuza Momochi, of all people, to help him. He was like, well, Zabuza, why did you help him? And he was like, well, he gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse, and showed me something that Gato was planning on doing. Then Kakashi was like, how did you find them, Naruto? Like, how did you even know that they were still alive? And that's what Zabuza and Haku wanted to know as well. And Naruto lifted up Zabuza's shirt, like, just, like, underneath his long sleeve shirt, his, like, not long sleeve, his, t-shirt, on, like, where, your arm comes through. On his muscle, there was a ceiling thing, ceiling, marking. He showed everyone, and he was like, oh, it was this. And Zabuza being like, when did you put that there? And he was like, oh, when your friend here knocked you out. Also put one on you when I met you in the forest. Naruto, like, showed them, like, all what the thing did. He could record conversations. He could track vital signs, so he knew that Zabuza was alive. And he could track your position, because he was afraid that Zabuza was going to live and that he was going to try killing Tazuna again. So, obviously, Kakashi was like, okay, they can come back to the village with us, but we'll have to take it up with the Hokage about them becoming Leaf Ninja. Like, everyone knew that Zabuza was an S-rank mission nin, and apparently, according to Zabuza, Haku was better than him, so they both had, like, they were both, like, top-tier Jonin, and Haku could be an Anbu, but, they went around, they, like, split up Gato's money amongst the village so that they could buy supplies and stuff, and they gave Zabuza and Haku a large sum of money from Gato's reserve. It wasn't quite what they were going to be paid, but he wasn't going to pay them anyway, so it was better than nothing. Naruto then split the rest amongst him and the other three, so around $2 billion was split completely evenly amongst everyone in the village. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Zabuza, friggin' Haku, Inari. Like, even Inari got, like, a pretty large sum of money from this, like, because there were only, like, 3,000 people in the entire, like, in their entire little town. So, like, all of that money was going to be instrumental in building the bridge, making supply routes, and all of that. So, Tazuna finished building the bridge. He decided to call it the Great Naruto Bridge because, you know, Naruto is the reason that, like, that Gato was gone, because he convinced Zabuza and Haku to, like, join the good side. And then they all went back to the Leaf. When they got to the Leaf, everyone at the, like, there were two people at the front gate being like, oh, hey, Team 7, and they seen Zabuza and Haku, and they were like, Zabuza, Momochi, and they, like, drew their weapons. Kakashi, like, was like, okay, calm down, we got these two to join us, they're gonna help us. And so they were like, okay, well, you'll have to take that up with the Hokage. So they all went off to the Hokage's office, and that's when, like, they all walked in. Zabuza and Haku, like, stood there in silence, and that is when, like, Hiruzen was like, yeah, sure, you can become Leaf Shinobi, but Zabuza, you're not allowed to hurt anyone while you're here. You, Haku, your name was, you're going to have to be a member of Team 7. And basically they're replacing Sakura, and they're placing her back in a different team. And by a different team, I mean she's going to be put on one of those, like, fodder, like, on those, like, no-name teams in the series, so, like, she's not going to be seen very often. Naruto was like, whatever. And then, like, Sasuke was like, okay, sure, whatever, I don't care. And Haku was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So like, Sasuke was fine, but Sakura was, like, livid. She was, like, super mad, being like, no, I want to stay with Sasuke-kun. And so, obviously, Sasuke was like, yo, shut up, bitch. And that's when Naruto was like, yeah, you should probably be quiet. You're not helping anyone here. And that's when she like tried to punch Naruto, just like how she's always punched him in canon. Naruto just like kind of grabbed her fist and like pushed her, like didn't even like hurt her or anything, just pushed her backwards, and she started like being like whining like, "Oh, Sasuke, you hurt me." And so obviously Sasuke didn't care, because he was like, "Oh, come on, that couldn't have hurt you. That couldn't have hurt a baby." And so they left, and Hiruzen asked Naruto to stay. And Naruto said, "I'll stay if Sasuke stays," because like he actually wants to talk to Sasuke about something. So he was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So this is where like the CRK this is like where the CRA comes in. And so old man Hiruzen was like, "Okay, Naruto, you know about your heritage and all that, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm the last member of the Uzumaki clan." And he like actually knew about him being the son of Minato, because the stone monument, and there were depictions of Minato in books that Naruto had read. Minato Namikaze, well, not Namikaze, Minato Uzumaki. And obviously Naruto not really seeing anyone else with the name Uzumaki aside from him, Minato, and Kushina, was like, "Yeah, sure, this is my dad, I can tell." But after that, he kind of just like sat there in silence, and that is when the whole that's when like a whole thing happened with Sasuke being like, "Why is he under the Clan Restoration Act?" And Hiruzen actually was like, "You're gonna be under it too, Sasuke. You both need to restore your clans, because like the Uzumaki and the Uchiha clans are two of the strongest clans in the world, and they would be amazing assets to Konoha. I know you've always wanted to do this, Sasuke. Naruto, even if you don't want to, you kind of have to, because you're under the Clan Restoration Act." And this whole thing like went down with Hiruzen explaining why they had to be in a big ass team, like they had to have like a big ass harem. And obviously Naruto being like, "Yeah, sure." He like went off. He like was about to leave, and that's when Hiruzen said, "Wait, you and Sasuke have to wait. I need to call I need to call a council meeting." He called a council meeting. Like an hour went by. Like all of the civilian council and all of the shinobi council all showed up. Hiruzen was at the end of the table, and Naruto and Sasuke had their own little chairs at the end of the table across from Hiruzen. They both sat down, and like all of the shinobi council were like, Naruto, Sasuke, how have you been?" Naruto was like, "I'm good." Like he greeted them all by name, because like he had met every clan head through Hiruzen. And so the civilian council all glared at Naruto and glared at the shinobi council for being nice to him, and they were all like, young Uchiha master, like, oh, like being so uppity preppy for Sasuke. Sasuke was like disgusted by this, because he like hates attention. Like even in canon, like Sasuke hates attention, like hates it with a passion. So obviously Naruto like paid them no mind. He knew that like the civilian council was gonna hate him, so he was just like, why bother with them? A bunch of stuff went down, and that is when and they started the meeting. Obviously, like Hiruzen brought up the whole Clan Restoration Act and all that. Like they were all like, yeah, like all of the shinobi council were like voting for Naruto. They were all like, "Yeah, we vote Naruto and Sasuke both to be part of the Clan Restoration Act." And then everyone on the civilian council were voting for Sasuke, but saying Naruto didn't deserve it. That's when Naruto blurted out, without even thinking twice, he was like, "Okay, fuck this. You all should be ashamed of yourself. Do you know who my father is, what he gave for this village?" They were all like, "Your father, you're a demon. Only a demon can only have a demon father." And that's when he said, "Oh, so the fourth Hokage was a demon to you?" And they were all like, "Wait, what?" So obviously everyone in the Shinobi Council already knew, because like every clan head was briefed on that. Hiruzen was like, oh god, Naruto, why are you like this? And like all of the like civilian council were like, that's not true, you're lying. And then they all turned to the Hokage like, that's not true, right, Hiruzen? Like, right, Lord Hokage? And like Hiruzen was like, it's true, you're meeting Minato Uzumaki's son, Naruto Uzumaki. Obviously, Naruto being like, yeah, come on, like, what's up? He was like talking to them, and they were all like, wait, what? And they immediately changed their tone, being like, sorry, Naruto-san. Like, they were being like very nice to him now, like calling him like Naruto-san rather than Naruto, and like Lord Naruto and stuff. So Naruto being like, that's a quick change of tune. Well, yeah, the CNRK, blah blah blah. And that is when Hiruzen offered both Naruto and Sasuke they weren't allowed to refuse kind of offer, and it was meet up with each of the daughters of the clan heads, because all of the clan heads had one daughter except for one. So like they all went off and they all talked amongst each other, and that is when the civilian council decided that that Sasuke would get first pick, Naruto would get second pick, and then they'd go back and forth between which daughters they wanted to pick to be like in their harem. Obviously, so Sasuke picked first, and he picked like some random clan that like we're gonna say it was the same clan Shino's from. So like the Bug Clan, he picked them. Then Naruto picked Ino, like Inoji's clan. Then like Sasuke picked another no-name clan, and then that's when Naruto picked the Hyuga clan. And like a bunch of them like they went down the line, and at the end of it they both had 4 picked out, and they were going to meet at a venue. Naruto offered to pay for the venue with the money that he got from both getting Gato's bounty and Gato's right-hand man's bounty, because he was the one who handed those in. He's the one that got the money, and the money that he took from Gato. He went and he offered to pay for the venue, and he'd pay for like 1 a week, so over 4 weeks he'd pay for his 1 week and Sasuke's. Like they'd both go on like different days. Like Naruto would go on Saturday, Sasuke would go on Thursday, and once a week they would meet up with the clan heads and their daughters. And they agreed to do it later this week, which was like Tuesday, and they were like, yeah, sure. Sasuke, they all went down the line. Sasuke, I'll meet you on Thursday. Naruto, I'll meet you on Saturday. And so they all talked, blah blah blah. A bunch of stuff went down, and that is when they finished the meeting off by officially announcing over they officially they gathered everyone in the village to come hear a huge announcement. The council, everyone on the council, went up to the roof of the Hokage Manor. Naruto and Sasuke went up, and that is when Naruto and Sasuke both spoke. That's when they both spoke to each other, talking how they were actually going to be good friends. So obviously Hiruzen addressed the public, being like, today 2 clans have rejoined Konoha. Not everyone being really surprised, being like, what clans? And then they seen Sasuke, and they were like, oh, the Uchiha clan is rejoining the village. They must have enacted the Clan Restoration Act. What's the second one? And that's when everyone saw Naruto and his dark red hair just standing there looking down at everyone, just like, wow, there's a lot of people here. Everyone looked up at Naruto, like started like glaring. And that is when Hiruzen said the following words, and this shocked literally everyone. Sakura, Ino, like all of the Konoha 12, all of like the kids, all of the adults. And what he said was, two clans are rejoining Konoha's fighting force. And that is the Uchiha clan, and that's the Uchiha clan, and they and he said that the Clan Restoration Act would be in effect. So he's picked out 4 women to be his brides, and everyone was like cheering, like yay, yay. And then he said something that shook everyone, like literally everyone. And he said, now, the great return of the Uzumaki clan to the Konoha's fighting force, and the clan head will be the son of the 4th Hokage. Everyone just gasped, like, wait, he had a son? Minato had a son? What? And then he blurted out loud for everyone to hear, Naruto Uzumaki. And everyone's jaws dropped. Obviously, literally everyone was like, what the fuck? Naruto the demon is the son of the 4th Hokage. We need to make amends. What the frick? They were all like erratic and like just blurting stuff out, like, oh god. Like some were like they knew that Naruto was gonna be a good kid, and they were like the very few villagers that were very nice to him. Some were like instantly starting to repent, like they were on their knees like praying, basically asking for the 4th Hokage's forgiveness. And some were shouting words like, you demon, you don't deserve this, like you're not the son of the 4th Hokage, don't lie. And that is when Hiruzen just said, use your Uzumaki chains. Only a pure Uzumaki can do that, and there were only 2 Uzumaki that ever lived in Konoha that could have given birth to you. Obviously, Naruto being like, yeah, sure. He dug his chains into the ground, and he made a giant barrier over everyone. Everyone gasped, and they all shut up. And Naruto dragged the chains back. And that is when he jumped down and he said out loud for everyone to hear, and like Hiruzen didn't tell him to do this or anything, Naruto just did this, and he said, anyone that disagrees with me being part of the Clan Restoration Act, come forward and fight me. I will fight anyone, be they Genin or Jonin or even an Anbu member. That's when 6 people all lined up. 1 Genin, 2 Chunin, 3 Jonin, and a 7th was in the back that was an Anbu. And they all went down the line. Genin got his ass kicked. Like, literally immediately. Like, Naruto just used taijutsu. Chunin, Naruto threw some shuriken and kunai and then jumped up and kicked them both in the nose, knocking both of them out at the same time. Jonin, these were just 3 random Jonin. Naruto used his chains, dug them into the ground, and like captured them, sucking away all of their chakra, and they like passed out from chakra deprivation. And then the Anbu came out, and that is when the Anbu started shooting off multiple different wood style techniques. Now, obviously, Naruto, being very curious, because only one person he had ever heard of had wood style, and that was Hashirama Senju. And like, so obviously Naruto was like, okay, who is this dude? He's seen like these wood style techniques coming out, and like, since wood style can sap away chakra just like his chains could, he just took out a chain out of his hand. He just brought a chain out of his hand, and he whipped it around, and he sliced the wood open. He then took a piece of the wood, he threw it out down at the masked Anbu, and he jumped at him. The Anbu like dodged, and that's when Naruto, using his sensory techniques, threw the chain and let it like stretch out of his body more, and it stabbed right into the Ambu's stomach. And that's when he hauled the Ambu in just using the pure strength of the chain and his body. He hauled the Ambu in, he took the chain out, and he actually healed the Ambu using the chain. See, the chain transmitting chakra actually heals wounds as well, kind of like a medical ninja, but without needing to be a medical ninja. So he, like, healed him, and he was like, dude, who are you? Only Hashirama Senju can use wood style. You obviously have his cells. I can sense it. And he took the mask off of him forcefully and crushed the mask, and that's when he saw Yamato. Yamato, being Yamato, was like, leave me alone, and he like put his hood, and he put a hood up, and he left because like he was part of the organization, the like black spots, pretty much. It's like an Ambu team specifically for Danzo because Danzo's a bitch. Obviously Naruto was like, okay, whatever. And he used chakra to just walk up the side of the Hokage monument, and he like stood right next to the Hokage again, and he just kind of leaned against the rail. Everyone was shocked, and like literally everyone. And that is when like 4 people stood forward, and that is when like that's when the Hokage said, "These 4 people have agreed to let their daughters meet Sasuke Uchiha." And like all of the girls that were like related to those 4 clan heads were like, "Oh my god!" Like they were all freaking out. And then 4 more stepped forward. Them being Kiba's mom, Hinata's dad, Ino's dad, and what's the girl's name? Frickin', and someone else's mom. They were like, and then the Hokage said, these 4 agreed to let their daughters meet Naruto. Now, Naruto is still hated, but he's not so much of a hated as he was in canon. Like, Sakura didn't like Naruto, but she didn't hate him the same way she hated him in canon. Naruto obviously being like, okay, that was fun, I guess. Just kind of left. And so right before he left, like the 4 people were like, who are you gonna meet up with first? Naruto was like, I'm gonna meet up with Ino's dad, like Ino for like the Inoji family first, and like the Yamanakas first. Obviously, like him being like, yes, like he wasn't like yes, but he was like understandable, and he was like, yeah, sure. And so he said, come to my house when you have the proper preparations. And then he left, and Naruto was like, okay, when I have the proper preparation, so I'm just gonna go prepare all of that. And he went looking around for a proper restaurant to set up like everything. So he walked into a restaurant called the Golden Dragon, and that is when the staff were all like, oh my god, it's like the 4th Hokage's son. And that is when he was like, oh god, this is gonna get old real quick. Obviously he like set up everything, and he said, okay, I need reservations for this day, and this day. And like he booked them all out. He paid them just up front with some money, and then he left saying that he was going to need reservations for those 4 days, and that was pretty much it. And he left, and then he went shopping. He went down because he needed to get some formal clothing. He got a type of formal clothing that was still more casual than like super formal, but it was better than his usual black and orange jumpsuit. His by the way, his like orange jumpsuit isn't the same as in canon. It's more black than orange. Basically take his Shippuden suit and extend the blackout more than the orange is, and that's basically his suit. And he wears more like jeans rather than like those like trousers. So he went down, he got some formal wear, which were more like proper they were like jeans, and it was like a proper kind of upper part that made him look more like professional, I guess the word is, and it made him look more like elegant. And so he got these, and it was just like a pair of black. It was like a pair of like dark blue jeans that like kind of seemed like black, a crimson red a crimson red like shirt, like undershirt, with a black kind of like over top, like it's almost like a suit but more like a hoodie, and it had the red uzumaki symbol on the back and on the chest. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it all off for now. The tune-in exams, and like him meeting up with Ino and all of them, that's all going to happen in the next one. Zabuza's going to play a bigger role during Konoha Rush. Haku is going to be a part of Team 7, so that's going to be fun. And a bunch more interesting stuff. Naruto is going to pick up something that I think you're going to like, it being a new weapon, so just stay in tune for that. Anyway, until next time, everyone, whoever you are, boy, girl, non-binary, have a great day, or a night, depending on where you are. Where I am, it is pretty dark out, so all of you have a nice day, and try to stay positive. Anyway, peace out.